how Yankwani voice wimra. Now Yakoba, you see why and na enyumremania bra. May emphasize on the fact that no maybe or any quantity so as a people. The accidents are equals to Ghana. This week, yeah, many feeling gadochi Nigeria and best was my koro eyes. Obia, or motorbike so a car born on an dream will be. Now what you when you go to say you see the person dead just like that. Your life and what you eat, they are important. And they are launching this campaign. Yenti and some would I call so matter, Prince Oba Adom TV. Or your editor or and then matter or Kasai about this issue, and I was so touched.
What I consider could be the golden age of press freedom in many countries in Africa has made
MTTD4 National Road Safety Authority release the first quarter statistics. Accidents on our roads, say motorbike accidents akosro. Over first 120 days, NEPA 441 in a year.
What did you kind of? Within 100 and something days, NEPA 400 na motorbikes akumo 400. And call for mommy and call for papa. Me pentem no akọ fru kada obete pan no wokọ na ade ba akokra ya ne say ade omu chance o mahu red light no matam no omkọ aso omo emra no road traffic regulations ne bi nka omo o kan so ani pa ma wonka. What kind of society are we building? Sao kwa obi say na galam say obi say yensu to the extent say ya nwe be kakan just ye koko importation of water ansa ne nya bia no o say na opam na e de ba adwuma no obeye. Obeka said last week we said this beyond say yes excavators no we should see some drastic measures taken. Some people should pay for what they've done to the country. So must say yes so to the extent say it's so cry no just your can near the aba. Now the Minister for Defense about Otabeka said beyond say excavators now they are going to pursue the issue and ensure say nipa bi wo ha say ebom mo betua ho ka. The law will deal with them. Said the abeya wo china bi wo bi nso enkofa chamfan nkosi nsuom. Say ope gold inti wo say nsuo na ye nyina ye nkoda kom. How? Yankoni enkotie minister asema wadi tuya.
As for the prosecution, even in the Operation Vanguard time, the armed forces complained that one of the things that were hampering their efforts was prosecution. We hope that this time we'll have speedy prosecution, and I hope that the Chief Justice and the people will determine whether they are guilty or not guilty, and then we can move on. Like he said, you cannot, because if I find you committing a crime, I assume you are innocent. The court will determine that. So once you've been put down before court, we hope that we can have early prosecution enough to be able to send a message to the people on that. Any item that has been seized within the operations is what I have stated, whether it's legal to burn excavators or not to burn excavators. That has been very, very clear. Some countries are burning ships, some countries are burning boats. Indonesia is busily burning boats. It all depends on the laws of those countries. Our law is very, very clear, and he has stated the basis upon which we think that we should help rid off this illegality using the method.
Okay, so that is what the minister is saying. Entinasa who excavator na so the renting crofo. Now what it means is nipa ne be rentia I was so we now with me investigation who dey wode kwaye essence e kwache excavator na ne chassis number no now so they ask force on you also have a problem. Aha, that is what the minister is saying. Now yamra the main topic for today adukwentia enne ye hye wa ha. President Ekansembi and I open up debate for discussion as to whether the media as a yemoye chamso and answer saying it here. Because over the years, media, what we do is to critique what politicians do. And normal politicians say, you know, any idea, any idea, chenafe, yakandi, yenede, enye. But what the president is saying, they say, it looks as if media house be cancel be. Nasa government official be and so be counter non so be man facts. Nasa ankwama media na yes attack on the media. It just a gradually, you know, we are using some press freedom no. As a ye kataso na no mabia enko yi anka wo se empanifo timika about the media no wo muntiminka. Let's listen to the president. Ye bia ene ye bedin komo.
It's a matter of great regret to me that the murder of Ahmed Swale has still not been resolved. But believe me, this is not for want of commitment on the part of the police. And I couldn't have made it any clearer that government has no interest in covering up whatever might be or whoever might be involved. There is no indication that his death was at the instance of the government. In the end, his murderer will be caught, tried, and punished. I believe it is in the interest of the state, in the interest of the people of Ghana, and in the interest of government, the journalists are and feel able to go about their work in safety. And I'll continue to do all I can to make this a reality of Ghana. Let me end by addressing a particular line of the current argument being made about the threat to rights and freedoms. I believe this has led to a new definition of a culture of silence. It goes along the line. That when people in government and all government policies are criticized, and there is a defense of the people of policies, it is intimidatory and leads to a culture of silence. A radio station is currently running a campaign against free SHS. During the last election, I got the clear impression free SHS had been endorsed by all political parties, and all we needed to do was to keep improving it. Would a spirited defense of the free SHS policy constitute an attack on press freedom? I wonder. It cannot be that everyone has a right of reply except members of the government and officialdom. Nor can it be that challenging an opinion expressed by a journalist constitutes an attack on press freedom. What I believe may be sorely lacking in our society today is the need to listen to each other more. Knowledge has never been a gift granted exclusively to one group. We must listen and hear each other more.
That is what the president is saying. Senyansa eniba akufuotrim. No one person is the repository of wisdom. And inti said the Fojo ya dear nenya metimi aka che Fojo say what you doing is wrong. Fojo also were right says me ya dear nenya wo betimi aka che me. Nemo makobai ekoye one way traffic. Say media de yetimi kan aban asem nemum aban empanyimfo bi ntimi kan asem a na say eho no etwachia. That is what the president is saying. So why ya there ana waka asem na obi aba be yi no say facts now the mind is wrong. And into these are the real facts. I just say why am from so instead say media no be no, then we hide behind press freedom. Ni a campaign for because aboa so muyem because ko kan ye because all those are concentrate for and ye bebo rom ni ahwe na president reference na all man no say campaign be against free senior high school minim de but said the enuanom ye nanse ya no kan ho asem de I think that they were doing block to block analysis of the free senior high school. So far said the normal SC accord in terms of infrastructure, in terms of learning and teaching materials, in terms of feeding, in terms of fee paying, and all these kind of things, and of course. But it looked as if, say, as a drew baby, no, not negatives, ne yadoson, and a complainer, a free parents, and China by. I don't know, say, a president, is an attack or a campaign against free senior high school. But today we'll be looking at this. Say, where can we draw the line? say ebia we attack on the media na we criticism or critique of what is going on. Burning issues remediation here. Join us live. Your Facebook. Joko Adaromenti over Facebook Adom 106.3 FM YouTube so sa leave your comments there benya da jena fe ya kenkan ede ama Franco Trading Enterprise open mobile phone papa you know that say when we so do ani che waton phone na mana ya kono say obi aton phone na so abo bi adore sade abusua preku de wadi kan no ni tie na tie ka Franco dia na just wo man de wo bi anim say phone papa na ho na wo kwa ne boofo ubenya original phones ato what the printers abeka ho eti companies na ho no obi akoto ne de a chese no so papa toners ne wom no utum se woto a eche ne mom ne bo no so afo ade a mepe Franco ho no no ma ne bo da form even though say a quality nemum it sounds so affordable what the laptops aba tablets ho fridges aba beka ho say Franco TV so aba nti Euro 2020 eno ne de hwe say wo hwe na nya Franco TV ho say enya de picture quality sound quality e be ye wo dam atimi ahwebo ne nti ko Franco oko www.francotrading.com and francophones.com no place order baby a wo bia na de bebro alomo bitters ene ye number 1 authentic bitters ye the herbs ene ye de ye nya daje ne brew any de alcohol ye de aka ho wono ma emanipadua ne hyehye kama wutimi didi kama ye de boni si wa wo chia wuti wotenam a wotenam wutwa fufu a wutwa fufu wo hwe nkwan a wo hwe nkwan wudi mputomputo a wudi mputomputo alomo bitters hwe no ankonom sabi uzensa bi wa wono ma de chi a na sa wo yare asa wo nyare on wutim se hangover bi achewo yise okonya ne saman ne ade ebe wi ase no ayen no fo bo se adwuma kwa wutimi kwa hwe ebe yiwadi alomo bitters de authenticated bomade aso obenum bie DBS for the Colourlink Plus and omade aso yasne chense pa wo bia nim so board down so enega na nenye DBS Colourlink Plus na de board down so a na se wo de atwam omo alozing trusses so ho dade ye de board down so a ema pressure ema wo down so nti bomade a boga fo no naja moma monsa enkabin yankwa homa no so na ye ne panyini ba ko etwetwe nkomo Professor Ransford Jampo senior lecturer at Political Science Department University of Ghana and then Prof. Hello, Prof.
Hello, yeah.
When I'm about dear Prof.
Oh, Namado.
Yeah, the radiasi. Me patch. I then I'll Prof.
Oh, send them now. Opening.
Prof mpacho na hu ye mama kakra ahoma ne twetwa sisi kakra wadaroma
mpacho ye
aha se meton ka Sir John me wo fa Sir John asem na wo kan
na meka and then atese de no atumpem o me ne na nyechna na on se via so ni papa paso tre via sinche anti mara ho bigwe an so ye an honest politician ana nakoma ye na oyubia senia ofaso eye na manyo semo no se amanyofo nyina edisua anka bebia ye beto aba esura amanfo suru se anhwe a oja beto man mu enti amanfo tumi to nwrem ana ekompaibo ekobo mpaye omo a edi nsuo edi bayere eni niane esi anticipated say anhwa na okun beba na se amanyokofo nyina atesa ankasa ne mane nyina yenye say he is gifted with the gift of peaceful coexistence with political opponents na media bebre say and Sir John and so akone krechi ya apane krabiona sese onyame emfa ne kra ensi na yema eyene ma ani ebusuafo nyina yako esanse ya hwere ade oye ni papa he is a good and an honest politician na mekasa mihunia menka beyond that
Prof any kwasa ka bebre essence Sir John asem de ye kase ye kanka de be che studio ha Mr Black and Red Obi Bebisa said he was not somebody and I'm a ban, but the few times I mean, even first that home in the crown, his reaction as will be a winning bed and the way he was so open. When you bedin komo trying to find your concerns, whether you have problems and all these kind of things. Now, you can't see a can cardia beche. Na yenim sanya me ebepe baby. Edine si ama yentie. You know, yeah, dear honeymoon team ni bi ho. Ti de akoso bia no with time ye kɔ hɔ ne akɔgye nkra na ne de aba ne ade a nti ye bɔ mpa ye se bibia betimi akoyen. Na prof ye frɛ wa enye bɔ ne yenhwɛ. President in our open this issue up. Discuss say President Asma or can say nowadays there is a new definition of media attack, a new definition, especially some media out then the government official be also out. No, also the side of the story, but not any media they are not as a and correspond there. Then I'm for you are attacking the media. You are attacking the media from where you sit, Prof. Sana wuno.
Na no man penika I want na jana na nyaji. Wan kasa wotu ho.
Prof, meme de ande for na ho nhye da hia. Etim ka yen hwew de no. Na ya ni abasi.
Na obi attack media na wayem from so.
Wayem from so me no the question me bisa now.
Me bisa o.
And I'm prof and no ana
obi attack media wayem from so. Me bisa o. Me you wasam na me person me no ina ya adwen ansa na yakọ ayi discussion no so. Obi attack media na wayem from so.
No na yenso ye bisa yi. Prof.
Wow. Chef ansana yebekọ ebenya ye 1992 kabima menkebi amemoi na eniama bebre ewo hɔ a na ye editia media ana nsentwerefo we nsentwerefo na se media adwuma no wɔn a na etumiye adwuma so a ɔmo to no na the state owned media other private press and media practitioners are no na they were doing their work at the peril of their own lives. And you know, Central for Bebre Ansana Yebedu 1992 Fourth Republic no Central for Bebre Ehuramande. As I said, no, there wasn't anything like media freedom. Over Casam, uncanny year. You know, Bedi, Senam, Wanga, a war 2 million or Moboso, Etromo. Even under the first phase, and I said the first government of the Fourth Republic, Mekaja Rollins Abrenson, not media freedom, I said that any ho papa. It's answer. What kind of one can you answer? Rollins or combine revolutionary fervor with democratic practice. Into no meaning in all the boom. Into the beer or a Democrat. I told the beans were now a revolutionary leader. You know, of course, I wouldn't imagine a car can send be a church and never be now. Winning the one. What is be you'll be the Janine, a cuckoo back a media office of honor. Rollins has some more kind and say, in some form, I want to cook back at Toronto. A bone say, a Janine cry, a dear cuckoo in the office of honor. Not just say around the time, media freedom, no crime, even though we're in a democratic dispensation, and shut down Queen in here. But if him, Yenny, and then I say for no. The liberalization of our democratic practice, a pave way, ama, and yama na ACC media for quine, and as ye be huna and central for Minano, a sign caneno, bra, mo brentino, san money in a year for anti criminal libel law, ye for the ama media for no freedom be brave. na ɛnam freedom a yɛde ma ɔmo ne nti no ɛno ne yɛ describe ɔmo sɛ ɔmo nso yɛ the fourth estate of the realm na wɔn sɛ obi ɛhyɛ nkoaso mu na sɛ afei we liberate no we yi nneɛma na ɛma no wɔ nkoaso mu eti hɔ na sɛ wanhwɛ yi a na nipa ko no nso ɛbɛpɛ sɛ ɔbɛ exercise unbridled freedom. Ye media na ɛwɔ Ghana ha no ye problem no ɛne sɛ media practitioners a yɛwɔ hɔ no bebree yɛ ɔmo dwuma yie nanso bebree nso so akɔyɛ ɔmo ho tintirintirintin asɛ yɛnka ɔmo asɛm yɛmbɔ ɔmo kyɛm so nea ɔmo pɛ no ɛna wɔyɛ na ɔmo fom a yɛnka sɛ media ni esan freedom a yɛde ama ɔmo ne nti no otumi ɛfa ne pen ɛne paper na otumi si ne bo sɛ saa nipa yi mɛsɛe no ɛnim sɛ wate a ebinom tumi de si ɔmo bo sɛ we will destroy these people and also we will destroy this individual we will destroy this politician ɔmo tumi yɛ na obetumi atwerɛ adeɛ tantantantantantantan afa ho na ukɔ draw na attention a obetumi aka sɛ ntimi nyɛ den wopɛ afa me court nea wopɛ bia yɛ me papa wode no court and wode no National Media Commission na ɔmo hyɛ ne sɛ on retract a ɛyɛ ahwɛ the prominence a ɔmo de ma ɔmo reporter so ɔka asɛm bi egu ho fi a the prominence ɔde ma no ɛba retraction and apology na control no kitikiti bi ɛwɔ media ɛwɔ paper no nkantuma bebi a obi ehu woka ɔsɛ mayɛ wontumi nyame hwee ebinom nso ayɛ overly sensational nneɛma bi a nka yankasa yɛ culture mu no yɛnyɛ no ɔmo yɛ ɛto de bi a wɔn sɛ Ghanafoɔ bebree ɛkan headline stories and not content of stories nti ɛyɛ a asɛm bi anka ɛnya asɛm no na ɔmo kɔ develop a certain sensational headline to it and we share the headline and the content of the story no ɛto de bi a na ɛne no ɛnyɛ den ɛmfa na withdraw ɔmo attention a ɔmo say this question near yɛpɛ no ɛne yɛpɛ ɛto de bi a wotumi kasa afɛfɛɛfɛ wobɛhu sɛ obi akɔfa headline bi na ɔde ama asɛm na ɔde ama no wobɛhwɛ na afei nkɔfoɔ wo a wokasa na nkɔfoɔ ɛdi watam ɛsiane sɛ sɛmtwerɛni bi decide sɛ ɔno ne pɛ no ɔde headline bi bɛto so sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ a ɔde wobɛto atankuruwa mu saa nsɛntwerɛfoɔ no wofrɛ mo na ɔka kyerɛ so bi a manka ne saa na bi a sisa no a ebinom koraa tumi call to the extent sɛ wopɛ sɛ mesesa no a ɛne yɛtwie sika ma me wonni sika a ɛne yɛbɛgya no saa weinom no yɛfrɛ no media tyranny wɔn nsɛntwerɛfoɔ a mo nso ɔmo sɛ yɛde tintintin yɛde yɛnka yɛ asɛm nti no nea akɔba ne sɛ nsɛmtwerɛni ɛfom a yɛnka na mmom ɔfom a the consequence of ne fom no nneɛma ɛba no so no ɛno na yɛka wɔn sɛ ɔkɔyɛ ade bi na sɛ ɛnyɛ na sɛ reaction ɛba no so no a nea wayɛ na ɛnyɛ no ɛno no yɛmmɔ so nsɛmtwerɛfoɔ no ɔmo nka na mmom the consequence of the action no ɛna yɛka.
Prof, hello, Prof. What you're saying is not far from what the president said.
Me pacho, me come asem, o man peninsu kan asem. Ni me kire ne se ye pese ye kebi ma men kebi, amemu no ekọ na nimu na. Obiare ni ho a oye tin God. The president of the republic no, ono no ye cheke no. He cannot be a tin God. Now, if the president of the republic is not a thing god, media practitioners are not thing gods. enti omo nso omo fomu a ese etumi ka kire omo so omo ya ade na nya a ese etumi ka kire omo ense se e makwan na obi puka se esanse media me microphone esanse media me wo pen esanse media me tumi kiro esanse media me wo krata me tumi kiro me wo paper me wo online portal nti no media yembo ma yembo me chem so ne me pe bia na metumi aye metumi atro nsem bia fa akofo me gu nkofo fi me gu nkofo ani mu ase maye ya ka se retract and apologize kwa me ka se me nye o force me so I make sure they keep we be. That is media tyranny. No democracy can thrive with the kind of media we have. And you know, so if the president cannot be a thing god, media practitioners are not thing gods. Media must be checked. Well, there must always be power to counter the exercise of power in any body politic. Well, I said the DFO say Parliament for young check yomo. Judiciary young check yomo. President young check no. Never media for the media young check yomo. What are you talking about? Enti say media ni bi control nsem na se nsem no enya no kware a obi afo say nsem no enya no kware no ohun kwan so sorry ti nsem no won do baby no obi to me kwatena se na okokuche nsem tantan edi gun ebinom ofi nipa no de ne court na okosiu na obo say media for na sorry aka say adan na we kosiu no wo de wo ho kwan se ogu no mfi no ne osiu na so oji uzika and ya wo say there be mo nyesa doesn't make sense.
Okay, Prof, don't you think that sometimes issue be say maybe the approach they criticize the media say the pana are wrong whether it's genuine or not, maybe the approach and Emma Ebimusu when they say as you are attacking the media.
There be me party say one can say make a woman media for that is the situation that we want to create for ourselves in our country. We create an impression, say, as I said, the media is infallible. There shouldn't be reaction. When there is reaction, you talk about approach. But when they are goofing and when they are undermining and maligning the integrity of people, no, that one we don't talk about approach. Haven't you, Menoka say, a sinner, share headline stories. Ube say, call for be the best story. Asma making ombeji manuel bone ama headline bi ene ne aye ken ene na mfa now so yemu binom no ye nom no ye nsuro yemu binom no ye pese ye de boa Ghana na ye beye regardless of obi nsem a obechro say ye papa say nye papa. There's been several times that you conform misreported. They give sensational and wrong headlines to whatever you say. You try to reach them. A binum back at us one physical macra, yes, son. I don't know, one can approach. And as I want to say, you can't public and then my catcher, Sally Binumati, a binum your mutin drinking. A binum echo program, Asia, a media and century, Nejuman say, or Becko, no Becko conscious stories, or conscious stories. Baby nkofo a omuntu min kasa okwa na wakosho stories na wakasa mo na for there are some media practitioners but on your making you men kasa media for nyina me say some
the word some na ehunya ebi
no mo ho a omoba program ase a when invite na eto de bia wo ye program a wo hwe baby a nipa ebinom efiba ebe cover story no wo kwa omokwa so ojiwe na fafa transport na fako ebinum wo ho a when invite you na so mo ba omo ne obeko se wa mo musika a omo nko ebinum so beka cho se
soleno prof sole omo ko ntokwa sole omo ko ntokwa
wo se
sole ebimu ko ntokwa
minim ni offer sorry sole ni me try wo say
sa no mo friend
me trust me my program. Several times that you have media practitioners showing up, reporters showing up. Na ebia o budget for nipa be me ense bi pe. O be hwe na nipa be 20 aba. 17 you didn't budget for them. a binum nyombe yomo hono and your story no crowd will not see the light of day. And maybe but maintain this that is how the media must function. It's about time some of us as I said your best casa it's just man send your as we demand political accountability and responsibility from government, the media must also be accountable in the discharge of its duties.
Your prof, your basic advice on the way forward. But before then, is the Ghanaian media that powerful?
Well, Esan said, Nipa Bebre, decide to say they will not call them to order. They have assumed a certain or arrogated to themselves a certain unquestioned powers to my mind, if we don't begin to challenge some of these things now, they will become teen gods over all of us.
Now, many producer discuss BB. Yeah, political individuals are. By God's grace, almost will be omatimi be oma ebimu or portals are or operating ade, and sometimes because they are affiliated to one political party or the other, it will say and some are more canny than sometimes I say I one way. I say her baby. So no money in our bar. We add it to the media. Don't you think say it's about time as all your politics are concentrate on politics. All your media make sure say you follow the ethics of journalism. Then you have to be fair and balanced to everybody near the. I don't know if you share that idea.
Well, I mean, Obia say mra ewo Ghana ha. Into no until say you better law say we a politician. Want to me MBA media house no. Obia to be a media house they propagate or no what he stands for. But if you are very competent media practitioners running some of these media houses now, and some say their profession has its own ethics. And even though you are doing the bidding of somebody who set up the organization, you must also try to be fair and balanced. But if you know what, if I say we in a set here now, this is a particular agenda, and that agenda now no more pushy. As a man goes through, I said because of a certain agenda, and they cannot even think. And no more yet. Media house, so many more. Nipa Bebre, objective-minded, fair-minded people, they don't tune in, they don't read. Media outlet, I won't go there. Well, let us begin to call media practitioners to order and tell them, say, yes, they have the freedom to practice and to go about their profession, but in doing so, they must be accountable and they must be responsible in the discharge of their duties. Because from essence, say, Caneno, na yetna on far wouldn't know. I have your 1992, from 1992 up to now, no, we have overly pampered them to the point to say, if you know after say, or we a teen gods, your mom with them. So, yeah, making, meaning say, you know it. What am I say? You understand what I'm talking about? So, why things a woody and one a macano? That is what so many people want to talk about. By the Omunya platform.
Prof. With a personal attack, but Prof, so what is the way forward? A crime ban the emphasis. Son, when you bet me 200 more, at least the media wouldn't be abusive.
What was the media now? The kind of media now, young check or more coso, media tyranny is the result of. In Yamana attacks now, bomb or some people have also decided, say, and their son, Amobaya, Yanshin, and not so forth. Sometimes in their quest to quickly break the news, they won't do double check. Yet, no much be and so one shed all the other sides. That's all they are some ever two journals go be hufia. Maybe a name your court on Kwa and not the court. But we are also no see any crime be in a manner you would interpret it to mean an attack. even though you first initiated the attack. Generally, my view is that let us begin to talk about some of these. You see, we cannot legislate to cover every aspect of human behavior. See, I can say, Bibia nyede emra bebeya. Yemra pono to me share. It's as a bear document kakaka. Into the corporate now, you operate what we call unwritten constitution. And let's say, emra ebu omono eye amamre customs and conventions. Okay, so let us begin to be talking about some of these things in a manner, say, we would all accept, say, a convention, say, media for a yomujuma, they would be accountable, okay, and they will be responsive in the discharge of their duties, such that when said that Uncle Kansem and go Uncle Kansem and go na a buffer retract and apologize, was a many, and I said, camera and Samaye, when said that Uncle yes sensational. In never be anchor senka. First, yes, say, Obi Wa, you were quiet, ye faso, ye poor ebusia for a manie. Over by ebusia penny baby, we be sa a year and back, Mudidi, Mundi dear, Umpe the Anibindi, Umpe Subinja, you know, Matsna, Yafa customary protocols be a break news to them. In a manner that soothes their pain. And then
somehow we should bring in
that is what I'm talking about. Obiti echa obina echa senseo na media for ekucha na yet abet to ne mba ehuye na media for abet splash water because they are in a hurry to break the news. What can I almost my
Prof,
they did not do so without their culture. Their culture, it is the sum totality of a people's way of life. It includes their values, their beliefs, their practices. In America, they believe in their culture. They don't care about the African culture. UK, they believe in their culture. That is why they speak their language. Into no musho matadie, into no mudio mudiane, into no more monkas or belief system. Into no say, yeah,
Prof,
you were a memu,
Prof,
cultural etiquettes and protocols, and yet,
Professor Jampu,
yeah, you ban what
Professor Jampu, Yemfancia. Prof, Yabenya Dajong, Yakaya Mambrani and Mania Wonsem. We will find out the role some of these things play in our day-to-day lives, in our socio-economic development. And the crime band, you be bit me fusing in some of these things. As I said, to the BS, we are 20 in the name of modernization and modernity. God bless you so much. Now, Professor Jampo, Ransford Jampo, senior lecturer at Political Science Department, University of Ghana. Prof, God bless you so much. Yankwa Manaso, Miami Manase, Azuri, Awone, Yanan and Manase. Hello, Manasseh. Manasseh, Ewa Humanaso, Yaka Manasseh, we hear introduction, be as I say, will you be a Wajidin, or a freelance journalist, and maybe a multimedia, Hana, and the manager, was one Casa, or Befano Quine in a Jawafano Quine. Manasseh Quaba. Hello, Manasseh. Ya boy homo den se nsa beka manase azure awo ne ne na twetwe nkomo ahwe nkomo akoso as to whether the media is abusing attention ne power and the trust Ghana fo anya e de amayen ana se ebia enoma bi na mpanyimfo ntiase yesi efie bia manim sam bom manim sam na ya doso ana is it becoming too much as a nipa bi de mresh omons maye de omopa na ana se ebia people are being too critical on issues and normal omohwa ensem fata the way omosi gina womo na so kanono and how many pe bia adwen so the media is abusing to me ye dia mo ne ade but ni nyina mu na nti ne wo ha ye behwe at the appropriate time be ma kwan na so abem na fe wache wadwene but before then for a message bra Facebook and a YouTube Adom 106.3 FM with the bar ye benya da gina fe ya kenkan e de amount na 2021 Press Freedom Index. Eba and not just a Ghana. You're number 30 out of 180 countries. You're number 30. Where 2021 there Press Freedom Index nearby no now 2020 as at last year near the 30 now over and some almost site here or more can be about ya yenua ofrimu ano tiger IPI ametually if we so free no per the report on the buy and it looks as if say the aggression ye didi asem ne chi no as nye encouraging and ibions no some media personalities some media personnel ya bo omo over the years within this year and also want some akoye bibie ho intini nyina ka ho bi and amagana ye ntimi ankonkan they even stated say 2020 mu when COVID came there are some journalists in their course of duty, in line of duty, nipa be assaulted or by some government officials near there. And once it looks as if say, yen shadam fa any bre and konho, it in can be in ranking Ghana, number 30. Just say yentimian koyenim, sanet yana. In terms of media freedom, the 10 best countries are media freedom, press freedom, number 1, Norway, and son about Finland, not about Sweden, not about Denmark, and son Costa Rica, wow, Costa Rica and so and Netherlands and so Jamaica, first and Jamaica is part of it. Can you imagine Jamaica? Sanso ena New Zealand eka hon ena Portugal so ka na Switzerland. It were the first 10 best countries for press freedom. Mame sa mubobion Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Costa Rica, Netherlands, Jamaica, New Zealand, Portugal and Switzerland. It yanane countries tena. So oyen sentrone na wo ho a upia bontia unso. You can work chest out. When him say bibia ekoye unso say bia obi be attack o ana bibisa intino first 10 countries no sa enete na if you are the worst 10 countries amaya now you journalist upia bontia you have to be very careful because there is no guarantee say upia bontia no one here obi finance account and say bibi nto so obi bebo and also obi be proud Cuba na number 1. So there is this country your friend Lao ebi mo kind of Laos okwa Southeast Asia ho but the home of one is near silent into mo kind of Lao so na Syria, Iran, Vietnam, Djibouti, China and Turkmenistan and also around Asia ho baby but only a very very authoritative it is said basi be media freedom when we be person try na say bibisa no enya dia benya sa chance ne kwa homa ne so manase abeken sa manase akwaba
yeah minia edukumi
na hode ho de
nyame adom
me hu wona ache but me gidi say radio adom abusuafo ni nyina ho ye
nyame adom ni nyina ho ye just update konti ja
I said that Kubana on ne ekope fufu ne akoko nsa bi ne ade na afi ye di gugu from ne ye hwese de no mesi ko say eja ye nya ne itutu ye ho fo ne ye fa ye ho adwene na manase ye hwe today we looking at media and sometimes the way some of our people you see abuse the trust the power the authority through the work yenya. Say na usi hono na mne Professor Ransford Jampo twetwen koma o say the time has come for us to talk about it as a nation and tisa nipa bi be ebe yama na broso na akofa asem de aba from where you sit with the experience you have say na usi hono is it that bad?
Well, about how we abuse the media and senior politicians and so fa me woni say enye journalist anansem trefo ne o say sombo ne ri kan ede bom se ka media abuse politicians no do na wo mo set up radio station wo mo abuse pa no wo mo politicians amanasa mayofo a wo ma ka ede radio stations no mo tina so edi sebe nsema ensene mfata se NDC waswa your radio stations bia who say wo moko air ni obeka fa ban we betimi adi watem judges for near the crate to make cancel tiomo yenim safo no MPP was your radio stations be a what to me so am your free be a MPs to me so kasi kukuwe sorry my nye we are when you to me bono it me dia term it make a cancer ma answer and fata and to see a ban say media ni idea wo prime suspect NDC radio stations, any TV stations, and your prime suspect and also MPP radio stations and TV stations, and also more newspapers. But near who say a banner NDC4, our buying no so irresponsible media, and yeah, dear, no more person, more more stations, or more council, be aiding some who know. MPP so bad so not much to say media so we are responsible. Want to say Woma condemn it or more MPP stations are sabi Womutna radio so and a TV so aiding some who know. And to see a banner pass journalism near the phone media is some 12 and a year Jumania deno. Me who is all my mo as my of phone. And your mother Dimwa, a toda also was separate in some trade humano every politics. I am I decacra. And no quadan chance why a war is some trap walker crabia said.
And Manasa Yenika can a honor. Now, media houses are a year established by political figures. Wa fan for Obi Okra when you're journalist when you're trained, but Nanuate, not Nabetna, Yamani program be oh yeah. Nina iti into the media no any problems are a bar we are attached to the media ni nyina ka ho bi
no kwapa mo ka ho bi go hwe oman yimu a NDC eteso na wo mo aban mu a wo mo ayi na media and as a radio frequencies and a TV license ye dem mo do na NDC for so MPP so betina so a ehwa na who say want to make TV and rent to radio so pie asase FM na asefo nyina so pie enti akwa se NDC MPP amayo kuwa mienu a wo to me edi omaye so from 1992 be sinei wo mo kan pa na sebe edu bra ye kansa central for madwuma ensheda enswani na fahudi omenya no ase wo mu di from ya de no wo mo leading corporates omo di enim pa and this arrangement wo ho but etoda wo mo person meka na mom media houses kakra na o ma so mo ho asi so meye nsamtre adwuma wo mo ko ka sembi na se anya aban there wo mo ba de kaso media now some are responsible media is responsible but when say NDC4 abo radio gold and I say bia multi FM echi and I say NPP4 aba ebo Oman FM echi and I say NPP radio stations echi enti eba na say ka journalists and media freedom na politicians and I say amayo any amayo for eba bekaso media or say responsible and yeah futu no any kan enkoma wo mo main radio stations na sebe ye nyina ye wo mo edidi o man yim
Manasa Yenre, na me Prof Jump Pudding come on, he was saying something, say until see Benyam because okay, if you are doing politics, do politics. If you are a journalist, go by the ethics of journalism. Say the beya and Kobane say you are going to mix the two. Na kofa asem ediaba ene ade. Do you see the time has come for us to constitute or formulate such laws or policies?
And no, a banner is very problematic because constitutional yedi edijumai and mahu kwan say obia betimi form a media organization I will hear license so wo edukumi wo is a china opesa to own newspaper kwan e wo ma so timi kwate yentimi enka say politicians and answer mayofo ne more politics mu say obi anya ne sika so kote radio station a yenka say me man no kwan esa mo so mo fa hodie me hu ne say constitution no e ma mo ho kwan so mo timi eden wo mo timi only radio stations enti me nka say yen semra say we politics and my whole point so to me at radio station as a TV station as a newspaper. Near you bet me and also at the study a comedy na sabi and our MPP or by a bedroom radio so also be opposition. Mekai Brebina Muntie radio goes now so for it makes us say ye be no more some cheerful. Omutimi atema ekodi mpapa kura atema wona ekura se ama it me friends na we ye den na Mugabe na sefo edi watemsa ade aye nyina anye ya famuda se na omo wo ho entimi amepasi ye hu ne se ye ntimi shemra se obi a politician na manin ntimi se on the radio station but yebehwe and I say emsa de sadie and I say appeal and the betu obi anim say o man no Ghana fo nyina dia na frequency say radio and television frequency near mawa o man no ajapade and ye dia che won san so so ntime broadcasting and so the ye juma e o kwan bi so ade mpuntu any asumtie ebebo mayimu na sawo aban mo ne a da chi bi so be opposition a sebe to me a wo police ni obi antmen bi no an sha na sa to me no ko opposition a ebi wanya na the affirm so betimi abro
Yanhwe adwuma bia wɔ ne ethics ene kwan omofa so de omo adwuma okɔ medicine mu a ne Ghana Medical Association for ne omo members omo wɔ kwan a omofa so ye omo no ma ne ade oba journalism mu a yenso ye ethics code of conduct any ade a we journalist I also ultimately do so at least say story required by you need to check cross check and check again and make sure say your facts are right before you put it out and all these kind of things but nansentem National Media Commission they come out naming and shaming of media houses or you see the most abusive languages and vulgar languages but beyond naming and shaming that's all. Do you think that is enough?
Well say we should constitution na ye wo kwan a say semtrefo eye bibi na nya ubetimi e de o mafa so ubetimi atro rejoinder sebe asema mo kan ne sanya wo de bia sa atro no mo twa ya no kro mo na wo wetimi aka na wo tro kwa emra na kire se wo so mo so wo mo ma no se kwan anasa space se na mo di kan ma ni o mo kan fa wo ho no eno so biem eno kwada ncha se atro bibi fa ho na anya wo da wo betimi e de o ma media commission ana so betimi de journalist na some training no akọ court ama court edi asamna amawo saudi ya enti sa kwanya nyina e wo ho me America say 2015 basi 2020 the me akọ court in Prince here
how in prison
in here 6 times for defamation
within 4 years.
Yes, 2015 to 2020.
Wow.
And what cases now almost as some American and Zoom line the McCoy, RLG the McCoy. But when you now, what the McCoy may file a difference. So we did Johnny. Just as some American and not no chrome. The only one that appended the FDA lawyer, echo by $200,000 bribe be. I am a Barbon team. And no one the only case are pending. And now, my country say in some church for the Yanyame say, yeah, they don't say, and ya, and maybe or see a faso. Na Yanay Eddie. And no, me and some minimum and Babu Bossy rejoined the National Media Commission and as a bit me at the Uncle Court. Yeah, and so bit our video so okay. Na centrally I can some chiano and yet Jushana Bono and Oceana Unisi. And no, and I'm who's saying, no. Now, mom say we will be now so you can't send from Honaya. What's me the uncle?
Manase na ti said you okay e to da bia nipa no wotimi ba out no aba beka so okay we na ekoso apart from court ne ade na but o ha ye media no se bibi koso na se ye na anko yi ayegetum do we accept our guilt ye je enfum so tum de
Social media media has be brave issue apology say bi omo bibi na nya do not me too. But you can media asama bi kan and say your do na sebe o hwe kwan o mofa so operate na obi ana politician bi na woni sik na ode kotie say we monfa enka me party ho ase monka be man party na monka ntia party a wo mo enye party in is afọ na bia no nye sem chofo wan fan sem chofo si bi o mo nyeju na ne ekoso nyina no ebia na enye your media houses be brave enye nka ha kura o hwe oman mu a regions no wo mo ho sa enti wo mo ye bibi na se enya yentim mo omodi but ye de ba so semchefo omofoma mo nyintuma menyi ne se ya asema ya no kre o hwe multimedia number of times wo mo retracted issue apology. A number of radio stations and so on, one more etia, one more to retracted. And it is a media houses be a year be na ya. You bet me so Sabi station way near me but one more the two so can tell for the one more tia, one more into many short dear because or kind of credit.
Manase ye no ase ne emfausia Manase Azuri awone ene ye na twetwe nkomo no a freelance journalist enti yegusu ye hwe media ekwan ben ye betumi afa so e be streamline said ye be ya yenya excesses in the media na nso nkofa asemo ma yesan say eto da bi pa now the two media house bi now her sabe young guy Ewrade Adom kautu so bright future onyini ba ne said you was sitting crofo papa no matempa with impunity in the name of politics ayana areho yana areho eto da bia metiam yamtimi hye me bisam so eti young man pa ne timinya sa kokodo no kansem sa efo obi papa ho yes ebia ni pakro no waye bibi whether good or bad you have every right to talk about it as a media man or as a media personnel but eto da bia di atem ne mpo twakasi so ge without chase ne ya na areho me ade ba ko menim say yes unyini ya yensre akwatia se unyini ya yensre akwatia where there is no guarantee say infie na sa politician no sa obi papa no sa obi nana no sa obi wofa no wo ka no ho asem no infie na wanya there is no guarantee so obetumi adu ho it's just by grace udru wa fine nyame ye bi but ebetumi abase wan hwe kura no wanru ho. But that does not mean some men kasa but ye kasa sebe. We should talk like people who were trained and brought up from home. Ya na hu here. Yes, what could school him there? Yes, what platform or microphone? Yes, you have the biggest media house. Yes. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take away from the fact that you were brought up from home. A basic, me there, personally, that is what I think. It be near. Mr. Mianom Central 4. We have every right to criticize government, to criticize any politician, to criticize whoever is occupying a position. We're mining a diamano, but at the end of the day, me pacho, yen for boo and to ni en can say this here. Omanfo bi adwenche omode aba yenhwe we see a friend Silas Odum message awode aba no say Ghana journalist as do na AI political too much ne koba ne sadia e ha adwene ekoba ne sadia e ha adwene ekoba ne sadia e ha adwene pa na yankwane ne opanyine Sylvester Tete entwetwe nkomo vice chairman committee parliamentary select committee on communication e parliament osanso MP for English amount from yene ne entwetwe nkomo ono abo akwa
Major Sominia.
And what they want there?
Yamidia.
Eradiadum brain woman now so ye. Ye the radia says so say ye fro neja. Adia san kasamri and kawana bunki twetwon ade na now twetwon mu ni ade. But for the sake of mother Ghana tea, ye fro waji pene so ne bekasa. Na ye Ghanaian media. And how we can measure and control the excesses. Nenko fan someone from Parliament, Communications Committee, more observing Ghanaian media. How would you rate it? Say now, Becca, do you see excesses? Do you see abuses? Yeah, man, broswana.
Well, that's it. My main father, when so main chair, the telephone, and the break. Now, more about say, what you see the discussion at this time, especially about the media person. Yes, in Parliament we are concerned, and as a committee, we've taken notice of the current in our media, especially after the unfortunate incident of a murder of a 7-year-old boy at near Kaswa. It turned out he's Anonymous would give the so and from city or more to an extent. And then we also follow commentary of the ordinary question one about current state of America, where we have no regard anymore for pornographic, for things that have to be censored. By 10 o'clock, we share pure nudity. And unfortunately, most of these television stations are running online, or radio stations are running online. And young men and women who are not supposed to watch certain things from productions have access to them through their telephones. So these are things that express worry. And we just started work as a committee of communications of Parliament. We've just had a workshop with one of the key ministries under the committee, that is the communications ministry. The next, information ministry, and then the institutions responsible for regulation in the media space, like the media commission, and then we'll have stakeholder engagement with some media houses, and of course, on-site visitations to some media houses. We'll add about the current state for media or journalism as whole. Let me say that we recognize maybe ever been but for the me sure that Ghana's democracy will be where it is. Meaning that everybody is committed to safeguarding the young democracy we have had. But I think that it has played a very key that wherever we are, we must have the bite of commending the media, those who have laid down their lives for media freedom in this country.
Yeah, Mokasa moya worried in here. From where you sit, again, I would just say Akofasa no ma winyana diaba because some time back nenye say na net here. Now this is where we are.
Well, indeed, some time back we didn't have so many media houses today, and you know that technology has made setting up a media medium very, very easy. People can run a television station from their home overnight. They can run on online radio stations. And just about 25 years ago, we were talking about just a state-owned media houses, and then Radio Eye trying to come into the scene. New media houses, especially Joy FM starting around the 1997, I guess. But today, we have well over 400 radio stations in this country, or Accra alone. So obviously, it places a huge responsibility on people with responsibility to manage the space and sanitize the space. So obviously, it comes with an advantage and disadvantage at the same time. What we call for and what we expect is high level of professionalism. Media in our country, let me say that it doesn't pay so much. I mean, if you look at the media houses, some of the media houses, if we should go down to these media houses, a lot of them don't even pay their staff. And so it's a survival of the fittest. And professionalism largely is compromised. And then some station owners also employ people by shared dexterity or by shared emotions or ability to communicate. Then they pick them without necessarily looking at their background. They will shock you that most of them that are practicing journalism don't have any professional training as far as journalism is concerned. As the person can sit behind the console, they will communicate the language that the station is comfortable with. Then the person is put off air. So professionalism is compromised when you don't have professionals practicing the noble profession of journalism. That is one of the things is happening today. Some training institutions that are also training up today, you'll find a training institute training journalists for 3 months. Some are doing even 3 weeks training, thinking that is enough for a whole profession that has to do with legal ethics and professional ethics. That's the idea. Running court for 2 weeks and putting all these people on our own. So it's also a concern for any national. We are showing concern about it. So I think that a lot more of the senior journalists who have practiced this trade for the love of this country and the love of the profession have shown that way. But it is a number of stations that I want, a number of professionals I am and so we fall on people with some flair, and then they begin to run our stations to say, but in a nutshell, I must commend the media fraternity that they've held the fort of defending and safeguarding the democracy. Maybe they are able to do so far. But as a country, we must take a decision to be able to regulate the space very well and ensure professionalism and high standards we expect to see. And as much as we are calling for media freedom, we are calling for the protection of the rights of the media practitioners now. We must also be ready to exhibit that professionalism that is exhibited elsewhere. I think
Honorable some people are also blaming politicians. Politicians Adom 106.3 establishes some media outlets. Say because of you are aligned to a political party, so ukofani paneba and found so a professional said the person needs to toe your line. It Yakobane Sabon said the word professionalism no one find your no so fast MD. How do you take that one to?
Me Lisa, Ocean stations are who I can tell you say politicians the percentage of stations that belonging to politicians no, it will obviously be less than 10%. But let me also say that if you are a politician and you run a station, you are equally liable when you don't exhibit that professionalism. In fact, you, the media person that are placed at the station, should know that the ethics of your profession enjoins you to exhibit that high level of professionalism. Wow, it's a noble profession.
But honorable, I thought that be on say the air can we are the ideal situation, but on the grounds. So boss
on the grounds, no.
On the grounds, editorial policies or house or near day. But on the grounds, who boss I would tear cat. Now boss see and then now if now bet and you want to show that you are a professional and that's what be ready.
You see, then we ourselves are running down. Not ourselves, but the profession as a whole. I've known journalists that have threatened to quit some stations, and the station owners have no choice but to let them run professionally the way they run. And let me say that I understand the challenge of young men and women working for politicians who own stations. Look, when you go to America, you go to UK, big media houses are aligned. There's nothing wrong with the media house taking an editorial policy that I'm aligned with this political party in terms of its ideology. But that should not compromise your professionalism. It is not a crime for a media station to say that I am aligned with this administration or these political parties' ideals and I'll push it. But in the attempt to push that, be careful. You don't cross the line of professionalism. You must exhibit that high standard of professionalism. That is all we are saying. But there's nothing wrong. We know where CNN belongs. We know where Al Jazeera. We know where all these big stations they belong. But I know, and everybody can tell, in as much as the editorial policies are skewed, and also in Chepe, you throw professionalism to the dogs.
But I don't know, we back to the Anawaka say some media houses will become crowned, and some of the workers crying, Chiomoka, be more cry, meager amount to be any of the more. There was a day, Miko program being any pan by ye, washing the motum to name. I shall not use word to walk 119 free any other. What I say, or Brown will be our baby or shall say free. But sometimes, yeah, not a hard game. Yeah, this will become maybe a baby our year Jumano, or most revenue our form. Kakra any identity any panel say we share will be na say bibi kra any panel pe kakra de mana edin say the because in the name of professionalism me skana kon makwa kodakom any is there anything we can do to ensure say at least anya hwekra we will have a quota so we be a minimum wage or something for journalists that when him say ofa will be adwuma anya hwekra how the money say as a way of mitigating some of these influences that may come from influential people.
Obviously, you say your minimum wage as a country. We see stations seem to crying. Cannot be fair. Onya minimum wage to be onya. A hard dream is so such a person, body is so put together. Man must survive. And the Ostia politician and the person who has seen the telephone of a interview. Look, over Parliament, who call programs now they are there. It's obvious. Say the number of people who seek to speak to you, most of them are people who are not coming from stations that, as it were, it is run professionally. And the ingenuity of some individuals will be clear of why you talk to them and not find your report on the station. Also, people this one. So, we say, yeah, when I'm information over getting to the station and head, no, that person has to be responsible for it. And in the open story, we all know these are challenges are facing industry. And of course, high unemployment rate in our country.
Honorable Wajam PBB, open source story, we all know. At the end, you know.
Junior, it's somebody I branch a Juma or radio station in Janica. Or no, find way. About the cover program. Of course, something must happen for the expensive and file the story.
And that's you must facilitate the filing of the story.
Exactly. And we are all guilty. We are all guilty. No credit, but even from the corporate, even churches. Churches invite media people to their programs. They pay. They give them allowances. Some they induce them. And it compromises their professionalism. And normally, them are, you come out and net. Now I am pleading with owners of stations. But of course, a small country like Ghana, look at the number of radio stations that we have. And we are still asking for more. Indeed, it's good. But the small business environment that everybody chases for that same commercial that gives them money. So if we are not careful, we'll be commercializing information that is supposed to go to the ordinary person on our feet.
It's very important. So our concerns here are easy. But BB to say, taxes be crowned and better so. any ade so that the operation cost near the no enka ebia nipa.
Exactly. I agree with you on that score, sir. So you heard the importance of the media space. Now you feel a bit more special dispensation, and if that will enhance professionalism, they must exist and make a good case for it. And some of us are prepared to support them.
80 issues be say, is it possible some bit me reason up when you get to parliament?
Of course, seriously, I've started considering making a paper on the plight of the Ghanaian journalists. I mean, say a ban of violence against journalists now we speak with passion. But the worst form of maltreatment of a journalist is when you work for a station and is not paid. The worst form. And the journalists are not talking about it.
We only concern,
if we should do an audit in this country, it will shock you the amount of journalists who are working and are not getting paid. Those who are getting these meager salaries, they have a social security are not paid. So one year galamse as a young man and woman, and you have a passion for this industry, obviously you won't survive it.
Honorable Yenuase, I like the passion I would Kasano. I like the concern I war for Ghanaian journalists, and I hope and pray say
when I was in Ghana National College in 1995, and I pray, there's one journalist I used to read his articles in the newspaper. His name was Frankie Asaridonko. He was my pen pal. I used to write to him. I told him I want to be a journalist. And he wrote to me and taught me how I could become a journalist. But when we were in school, to the university, and I realized it was the wrong profession.
Why?
Serious, because it concerns Amirezi. It's one of them. Not because it's a noble profession. I love it. I've learned a lot of things from journalists. But the other side, the concerns Amirezi, I'm telling you, they are addressing these concerns that you will always compromise our professionalism. That's it.
Oh no, you better didn't parliament pushing because boys are bread. Girls and so kasa. It's no push and ya heard you be free my by Radi Adoma Ebiana and also at me as a son or man. Opinion and didn't come here Sylvester Tete or a vice chairman, my parliamentary select committee on communication. Any and didn't come MP for English amount from any and natural commoner Elvis. That console a editor for the Finder newspaper. Elvis Akwaba. Monamu Boko there.
Oh, Nyamina Domnamuswe.
You are that Roman Kwane Ahode ewo na Elvis. Ye didn't come about media. The way our media yama ye ho kwan to be critiqued. Eto da bia ye mu bi ye kan nsem manebro so because we think we have the power. Ena media for aketua se mabamu a ye ne honorable Tete edin come so the beko parliament ni ade. We editor. We media for aketua saying it here.
Oh, in fact, no crowd said, young and I, in fact, there's Casa to tell from her padia. One or more and your crowd from a media for count. And a idea, yeah, I would do a young and I. Now, so problem as and some trouble on the media workers were done and said, yeah, that can't be asked some woman. Tayanka say the end there to make her. The boy is so say for car. A Jumara be because Jumara be to say a good response. Say untia you. And the young as media for our crew hanum. Yaket ya there. And yan. Now the answer say media as an institution or crew hanum. Ye need well established levels of entry and structure in terms of employment. So Rebecca said in some showing a bedroom entry level a date office steps on that promotion so for her on that next promotion so for her now uncle do hand you need to manu okruma because association now and so just say Ghana Journalists Association, and private public association. Because am I the let me ask to say Germany. Journalist Association a union. A workers in a certain at CUC ICU Mutia. Inti Omuna actually Omun negotiate a kitchen a month and for and Omun say who fast and trouble school fresh now who fast on Saturday Juma Obetiani safe. And fear me and say no Obetiani safe. And fear and say to Obetiani safe. Or not promoted to this level Obama safe. No Omaya to say and let that
Elvis Nessa, and yes, be a watch all letter across our page money for Juma, then you have to negotiate another company because member will see. But this time we
negotiate. Say, many things say. They are negotiating gives you the basics. These are all feelings that they are as much as Bayano. Over to SA over to me the account. But yes, means you are below that amount. You have to share the alcohol. Ultimately, that's that negotiation. Ama minimum as a level bia minimum amount of change and asakisia, and a benefit I should be entitled to. But from Hano, Saudi and Niho, and the Minikope Juma Bedia, the Juma and so bet Chiamino. Many Diano now, or see the same of it this year. Now, Miss May Jumana and one. But in other places, and can share that. Send your from Hano. A Juma baby will from her, your powerful fan. The catch of way useful now, but the entry level to salary. Only 3 years now, your promotion not 4 years to do her to salary. Say, for the over for maybe every time see for now when you share that. I was from her, I was Juma baby. Say, I found as fresh graduate. Say, the best Yauka. Only experience to do her, best Yauka. Unya promoting could do a best from my Juma Bebre, private company Bebre, Sanes, and Sanes, Omuka. But media industry, there,
and somehow working as I directed towards the various, say, GJ, any other groups are also fighting for the welfare of journalists. And I say, it looks as if said you see, I say, weak crack.
And 3 years ago, I remember Obama DJ elections. As a morning leadership, the two that say, Omanya bargaining certificate said DJ I have the union. In Sesiano, Sa and some Macri, or move this Jumana Massam Trofo. Yet two abandoning a young town to Bedu and Entian and Sunny. And you know, I don't know away, say a person for you to Mukaya. And he said that why I said, associations not to me edit 2 appointments. Not actually a Juma Ram. And to all foul as we journalism school now is power. We are diploma and now we a degree and now a master's student. Obia anybody I saw shot and a Christian said the mouth. DJ and some negotiating said and some person DJ no. A union. Now I'm almost to me say on best bargaining for journalists. But yes, to say abandoning we do any. Yankee union what is the and I have to see DHL for the town say, Muka and some money bargaining certificate. When the bear campaign saying to Abama. Now you retain more. Move a safety amongst them to offer. Yes, to abandon you, union wants and Yankee you do any. It's son. Oh, then I said, for yes,
hey, answer
what to Abba. I'm an opinion for. Or my share, what say, or money certificate of bargain. HSS of DJ union. Into a movie near. The somebody share by the twat for him. Or more we knew. And tell me, in fact, yes, and properly as young for beside leaders, say, Sam, what I am share, and a moment I move. And tell me, and decide. It's just a fine was some clergyman there. Only, yes,
Elvis, Nessa, the way Yenya. Amanyofo yesi huru omo no ya ho no say e ba ya pre ye then we cannot do that.
Yeah, I say we cannot do that. We don't do it. Yenya kla. Yenya wo program. And then I must employ for no. Yen say obi antimi bi because obi aso say me koka e bi anadwuma obeka so na me bo na kutia ma wa yi ledi ntimi nkoka e na ye nyina ade no ye hu no fo ade no so ye hu tire na so ye ntimi nka
there are some companies cry no untimi nka so for me union and they out cry but they free ho it here the impact of all these things on quality delivery in terms of your jumana no and compromising the standards to say the na president take us to the bia obehu say false publicity and say bia nya no kwe but because of nipano personal interest and some of these things in tubos will be ada no amana kakra no aba out no abeka the woman in the enim ni ade nyina now does it have any impact?
Oh yeah, who's ejuma we no Ghana journalists they are be betimi aye because they be am cafe obi a beka se nsem tuofo omutumi nya obodwuma yie ma nipa na okasa no o mbisa ne ho se na nsem tuo ni ye ketia ye sen a otumi tia ni danka e so otumi tia ni light bill e so otumi tia ni school fee e so otumi na good health care e so o mbisa obi a o ni ye school they be am cafe oni obi wie journalism be do munya first degree na ba akọ PR na ba akọ journalism in 10 years time no the other PR no or management level ya man official car ni rest company na etia ya man nyama de brain including healthcare ni nyama de brain and some sure ni only ni year school no o so eduma 10 years no oni sa nyama we bi ready but am if that one aka say and some sure for no they are not doing enough who dey wanya wa ketia who dey company am etia o dancer who dey company am official car ye ma fuel ye ma health care and who dey all finish and some sure for no dey that's why they can't make it and all those public net petition some sure for every year more than what we are doing no say o mo say circumstances wo mo say fear system sure for okroman din pa say and some sure for better rise up all of the sudden and to say who be say eduma no o pese e so ni mo be ta won say na control na o expecting to say obey eduma say BBC ana tie na we no na ketua e say
Elvis obi beka say we excuse Elvis say obi beka say we excuse because waketua nya then we should force the unions to work well. Sorry about
you know me na wo
intina make us o there you fan say the association our mother association you force you say they can fight for our rights then
say only to me bia Ghana Bar Association e was different legislative instruments LI e man to me Ghana Medical Association or an LI e backing no e man to me DJ is like a voluntary organization anything that of that kind say or man for negotiate with the labor office am o one year certificate say DJ be union e ma for be bring aji say ya nya bargaining certificate from labor office say DJ be union dia they say no make am asem am e na man for so abama ho e na ya sma ko efie mi nsa DJ e ti say wa sori ana ukrom efu amwo because only to me dia
e said wa kwa sori na adwon kwe
sa because on my mra ebi ani ho a e ma DJ tulu so fa ni aduma o e and you yan to say Ghana Bar Association
so why don't we fight for that? Now you're compromising the standard.
But everybody dey na yet to me na say who can e better on pay fire dey so e papa ye nim person e am say enkoye enye e say fan among na yes we have power for Ghana Bar Association and Ghana Medical Association na yes we afa ye duma ye fan eh o mo association na kasa na so ye kasa no association wada ye kasa for akoto abamom pe partner honum yes e boshi amu ma ya so le so abanoma and see me sunny how many media houses you go dey be star in 24 we say no be can say munya bargaining certificate from labor officer mo be union ya to abanama mo nti ye pete ehu union no ye mo gi na edi ekiri
o say association na why then o say association na why then
wada association no mother because say so we o gbejuma pa ebi for o mu ni airline no So many breakfast over boys and that situation is woman. They be on the catch a man for say the public is expecting too much from us, so they don't know how we are surviving. Ejuma ye time I be pon. I be coach. Who was security will get them. But what's not come man for 1 time ya. So we got to get and over the other boat tomorrow. Who will get to the other boat in Keke?
Yamina boy,
I security. But Juma William, and it's very important to do someone say, a month while we are Yama, and then the transfer who come once a month. Or when you come back route. Also, about 10 o'clock. We do 10 to 11. Now, so this I want to be also how well protected is the security where every move for an adjustment for a problem on the party of the can't hold it. And then look how we say, and do my name say that near more than the but I can see a walk and moment and so on a dog. And to say, and to say, a bay and to say, yeah, I can see be a free phenomenon. The public will be expecting too much from us, but we can't deliver because situations are a woman. Never see a final, a dog. And then look how Mumayan can't crano. What's the matter? Mumayan can't crano, say. Send a man for some trouble with Juman. I can tell him there, Brad. And yes, we are among the worst paid people in this country. And many don't know Ghana for your money to Mr. Crazy idea. I have to say, Omu from driver plastic car. Oh, baby, you know, it is or nipper way there, would be a crack. Not only I judge and trouble in age. Now, I guess I'm assembly here. And I make a say, I will not be in a year school, and I'm not the same year. The Orion PRO, or PRA Jumano. After 10 years, managerial level.
Hello, Elvis.
Yes.
And Kasabi Brew. And how Kasabi Brew the infancy.
And I'm my encounter.
Yeah, fancy. No, I have a budia. I said, work as well.
To say, or when die to say, ya bay more. Ya ready to say a bay more. But I can see a way up, a daughter. Now, there's a more. I mean, you be free fast. Or more expectation of us. Because sometimes, when I say, because some trouble in your way, some trouble in your way. Some trouble with the Ghana. They be my example. Say, about some trouble is more joyous. And CFM, and graphic. Now, yes, on the moment Sanipano, when you have more BBC, and now Reuters, and now Bloomberg, Ghana fast at our budget. Difference better. And because of the Oko, you know, and she shared that. Nyama Koye, into no, on your time, and you live man. But Ghana now, because I went to be over what this is not here within 3 months, Ghana first say Bonabato. Now, this right as a man is playing the idea move. The oil was Ghana higher.
You name now or the call.
And one or the call.
Elvis, you know,
the best at Bonabato. Over BBC, they're no yard. Over Reuters, they're no yard. I had the same person. And so, and yes, some truck when I had the problem. I can see the way to man endorse.
Elvis, Nyamisha, Wakasa. Na yeka, once them now can, Madame from Centroni be was sending me a message. Once them now can was so soon, then one man raho.
Mama, send a meeting. Obia Juma, I was Centroni Juma. Yes, you radio, and I yes, only byline. I want newspaper. Now, so I had a Ghana hold this, a Musu Kanipan on jacket here. Now, a Omuanga, and then Obia Juma, you're telling already see who will see this one. They're only byline. I want newspaper Musu, who catch a Musuka on jacket. And then no man. Yes, minimum. Elvis.
Elvis, Elvis, oh dear, your face, your best I can once a review. Wow, somewhere the Cassia can't Elvis, Monsieur Adiasa. Ekubu no do to the FSA. Elvis Dako any and na twetwe nkomo editor the Finder newspaper any and na twetwe nkomo no. Anything also for nature wadwene number near 0302 216561 and 0302 216562. Again na wo hwa ye betimi aye aboa ama media no so dwumadi aye di etime mu de the president kind no so the president here adwene a again na yenye wona nya adwen so a again ye betimi aye so that media na dwuma aye play ye dwuma aye no ye betimi aye na emu ada ho na etimi aboa magana konka ye mfa ofrefo dika.
Hello, good evening.
Mbacho hoini.
Mbacho Pentagon
yo yentio.
Ya, me do tinta ofe.
Yo.
Mamentia me Dr. Factor for what to papa ne put more do papa mentia is papa. Be me come up finish the best of man say. And so therefore no more na pan say more man what do any I head you who you go. It media can say and some chop for no bomb who dey. Down by the levium the parliament say the bomb and chop for no banana ya or market them no so who say to be or bomb or bomb so okofi on am from e bia bomb fu dey ya dey e be intense. It ya best ban say na do that people are dey ye kasa o ti o so mu ti ya best ban say on so so people mu ye pa bona
Miss Medas in Yamisha, so soon to me friend now, Chair Wadrin. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Pacha Winning.
Quality you make us free a year. I'm a mole.
Quality you.
Mammy Tia was here for Namitia, Joe Ashama, he coming deputy communication officer, NDC. Lydia said 20 years, would ye interview Mr. Moka, name would papa. She was set for Muna Mumma Yen Sabi. Ya Yenni, and it just will be out the piano. Yes, the echo catcher, one more was woman in the echo. Anything. Musha by your buy, Nanu Yai, a Mapiaku Fadu. Chetty, Yenny could that down or the most set for family. Me a boom movie, and no canoe. Your program, ya, we put your 4 channel. Send only Babo Biao baby. Sabi manu da sumina so bibi for to se a wonu nyame ko a ne obusuafo o ma panyin ye ba no ba yo ye the taxpayers money it's mo de mo sum bo papa no come again say ye tie ye ma panyin wa bobu sia dodo no ka
ye da wase se wa friend wa che wa dwene ye ka ensentrofo brode a nya ba bi ba ko ne free MPP ni andi si nyina mabro yen na da ye ni a e da fia pokua vim lady ni kofi asam ne wa hwan ye kobo wo mo mu nyina mo bro ye bi ti ye kan yen kan sentrofo ye kan manyofo. Hello.
What kasa mama kuma tomi yim we question kam katu
nene mama katu we
and there we mama
ba ja wani
genuine
tio
anyway me tell
ya jo so a
nsanjo fo mo ya de bibi am na mbo mu de wuruma aja yes ye tibi na fa fa ma yes ye tibi ba mu bi nsu diabo mo bi ha ge wa lese na no de papa ase mi okoka eze na na do furu prent ni me fipu o je nyefa we penny eni kwa je kasatian ada bone be no waye so wa fa Ghana ska furu print no pani furu so mo bopum enye kasa papa mo bi mo bo adwuma ba mo bi nso o mo adwuma na na do ba wo mo nsankyere ni bia obura o yes bia ya kodam senye and this ono da mo de na mo ye senye de ade nti na mo so mo ye no
yamfa for hello.
Oba ngezi bia boko.
Eradi Adom boko na nso e.
Yes, Adom so me we.
Yeah, that you as pacho ye di wine here.
You be me great more from Sana.
You're great, ain't you?
And mama nyini mark. And then some for one semana eda.
Aye.
Na bude de bia masem ba kwa meka ne se. Monday we ni ya unya secretary na oba bajo mi bi ka tamba ko na BBC o ta BBC wo na ti de bronze no bota yenina yeni wa dance ese ebe ye cho microphone bi pesi e biebie nsantraju ni ebe ya omo de be pesika na nye se
ɔman no bɛkɔ n'anim enti na ama saa nneɛma ya bɛ mu ama yɛn mpɛ nkurɔfoɔ bi a ɔmo so de ɔmo fun abɛwura adwuma mu a ayɛ twɛ ɛtinti ɔmo ka na kwasi nkɔde disika wafa bi nneɛma bɛka nsɛm ne yɛnim ana ma buro ɛde ba anaa because the Jesus na GDP ni ayi na wo ɛtitititi ni antisi ya buro bia
yo ya no ase nyamisha pa sa won so wotimi efreye na uko Facebook a Daniel Techmens message a wode abose yensa yesuban ni enya ise bibia na ye de hye Ghana mpanyifo no Felix Akito so de ne de aba was bra kwakui wo bo adwuma pa nyamisha ene adwuma amo ye yo we Felix Akito me patcho ya mo famra 11 Emmanuel adoboaten eso de message aba was bra kwaku adwuma na amo ye ne de no na amo ye no was kudos enkoma wo ne utim ni nyina yo nyamisha pa we see a friend joking ne dia wode about few journalists feel bigger than all the other people in the country ne say o se nipa kakra bi se twofo kakra bi adwen o mo say wo mo ya agema ye mo chem so we see a friend Derek Aite o se me hwem live pa midfield lash bi in amde ba no say good evening kumi woni team no nyamisha mo pa na we see a friend Raymond ofe ono so the message a wode aba wo se Manase Azuri has said it all asem no ena Manase waka no asem no pepepe wadwam Mary ame ya so the message about was kwaku where is ABY oh gina home you say all work and no play Miss Jack a dog boy into so call no kwadwedwe na body somebody no be firewood and tienche ABY beba ekwa ya na bra wa ni kwodi fufu na ja wo ba na mesmeko na mesma ko jima home na fi but now we see a friend Abbas Goro Abbas message I want so de buy one no de what the emoji in or the beto we see a friend Sameboache message I what de aba and was where is the culture of silence na that's my what can I say as a culture of silence be any baby ni pa bi na enyo madwuma yi na ja wo munya ya na mo de ensem kwahye mampanyini kon odo itama de what de aba no say oh John wofa nyame fa ne kra ensie ye we see a friend Isaac Tumesi so message our ba was me hwem live Tel Aviv Israel e ho na me hwem edi free was ma figana mo ba adwuma monya de bebo ama Ghana etime tumpon na kwa me boa eso the message about say Professor Jampu God bless you so much when so see a friend Sam Richard Kwaku Sam one na de ode ba the emoji in ode ba sans na piaga eso message our de ba was very sad Sir John na Sir John de no so ede ba and we see a friend Ekuacha message I want to say by no say I really miss ABY enche ABY obeba me akwa ma fe no enche obeba na wa bisum na fi dia ka ni nyina wo dia to aso e dia mam Emmanuel Sakite eso the message aba no say Ghana one so message or the by sounds na Emmanuel Kwe enso say Ghanaians must respect journalists one so na sema wo de aba enono Adom 106.3 ahani adi dwumadie ne besie dwumadie ne din the burning issues efri no nwotwe ne tena asese yesom yade wasese waka yen ho mo amohwe wo Facebook mo amohwe wo YouTube mo amutimi friend mo amantimi afra mo am Sunday message mo nyina nyame insham production team no as usual tight ajo fojo listo well on the ball captain's band no wo de he papa wo de hye kronkron wono ene di animu ema production bibia ko tight thousand abednego kwesi asante ase edu ensuka ho Joshua Kwame Kulenu and Milovan any team ni nyina nyame inshamo mena na metiamu edi ho chiame metremu ma menu aba ABY ekuaboachewa yi Adom enche obeba ABY nyame nka ho midi ni obidum bie kwa dukumi ya sorry so ane de na chese odo ahoma so akuma mama zimbi 1 meda woba betena se aware de atete apansam woba mena ya kono intibomode ase obetimi atie bie adomdom ye besanso ahia bio ye na mase emfa